Datta, Sri Guru Datta. Jai Guru Datta, Sri Guru Datta. Jai Guru Datta, Sri Guru Datta. Jai Guru Datta, Sri Guru Datta.
Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Padavallabha Narasimha Saraswati, Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Shri Ganapati Satchidananda Sadgurubhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Guru Datta and welcome to Datta Arpanam with your hosts Rishi Nirvan Baru
and Ravita Singh. Jai Guru Datta, Swagatam, and thank you for tuning in to Datta Arpanam, a showcase of the life, music and teachings of His Holiness Paramapujya Dr. Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji of Avadhuta Dattapitam in Mysuru. Today's program begins with the offering of pranams, gratitude and this invocation prayer at the sacred feet of beloved Sadgurudeva Pujya Shri Swamiji, as this show, possible only through His divine grace, is offered to him. Please join Pujya Shri Bala Swamiji now in worship.
Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Padavallabha Narasimha Saraswati, Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Shri Ganapati Satchidananda Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gururdevo Maheshwarah, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Bhuyuta Shri Hari Chinnhitabhyam Agastya Rekhadibhiranchitabhyam Nigodha Bijakshara Mudritabhyam Namo Namah Sadguru Padukabhyam. Ganapati Gurumekam Satchidanandarupam Vibhudharivahasevyam Yogamargadhirudham Sharanamupagatanaamarti Sanghadrivajram Mama Hridaya Nivasam Bhaktinamro Namami, Bhaktinamro Namami.
Once again everyone, Swagatam, and thank you for tuning in to this morning's edition of Datta Arpanam. Today's program is being brought to you through the kind courtesy of Velini's Drug Mart Limited of 58-60 Sutton Street, San Fernando, Debe Supermart Limited of 182 SS Erin Road, Debe, Coquier Supermart Limited of 14 Naparima Mayaro Road, San Fernando, and Samtron Insurance Brokers Limited of 1126 SS Erin Road, Debe, and 225 Southern Main Road, Warrenville, Cunupia.
Over the past few weeks, through the grace of Pujya Shri Swamiji and his mother and guru Mata Jayalakshmi, the Dwadasha Sutras have been the subject of contemplation here on Datta Arpanam. Those Dwadasha Sutras are 12 instructions which were given to Sri Swamiji by Jayalakshmi Mata. These form the tenets by which she instructed that he should live his life. Sri Swamiji, in turn, by implicitly following these instructions and by sharing them with us, is passing on these teachings to us so that our own lives can be and should be governed by these Dwadasha Sutras.
So far in this series, discussion on the first 6 sutras has taken place. These sutras were: see me in all women, be compassionate to poor and socio-economically disadvantaged people. In all situations, think and act according to the Shastras. Protect the pious and virtuous, even at the cost of your life. Consider all forms of life as equal. Do not discriminate, and do not miss your daily disciplines at any cost. They should not inconvenience others, but they should always benefit others.
Today, the journey into the Dwadasha Sutras continues with contemplation upon the 7th Sutra. This 7th Sutra may sound familiar because it is quite closely linked to some of the previous sutras. In it, Mata Jayalakshmi instructed Pujya Appaji by saying, "See me in all forms of life."
When we pay attention to how this message is also contained within some of the previous sutras, we begin to understand how important a message Mata Jayalakshmi considered this to be. Why else would she keep repeating it in different ways to her young son and sadhaka? This apparent repetition of a lesson is reminiscent of the way our scriptures teach us and the way Puja Sri Swamiji teaches us. As Appaji himself has taught us, when it comes to spiritual and moral lessons, the reason behind repetition is to reinforce the message, to reinforce the lesson.
And a lesson which Pujya Appaji has repeated time and time again, a lesson which he has taught through not only his words but also through his actions, is the importance of Nama Sankirtanam in our daily lives. This, he said, is the surest way to moksha or liberation in the age of Kali. And listeners, of what use is learning a lesson if we do not make use of that lesson? So let us make good use of that lesson taught to us by Sadgurudeva Pujya Appaji, and let us, before going further into today's contemplation upon Mata Jayalakshmi's 7th Sutra, engage in Nama Sankirtanam. Please open the Bhajanmala app or visit the website www.bhajanmala.com, enter Bhajan ID number 62 and join Pujya Appaji in singing the Pallavi as well as the first and final charana of this Lord Ganapati Bhajan.
Gणपतये नमो नमो गणपतये नमो नमो गणपतये नमो नमो गणपतये कोटि प्रभावते तेजो मंडल वपुष्पते भास्कर कोटि प्रभावते तेजो मंडल वपुष्पते सुंदर शुण्ड मुखायते लम्बमगोदर कृपामते सुन्दर शुण्ड मुखायते लम्बमगोदर कृपामते नमो नमो गणपतये नमो नमो गणपतये त्वमकाले दैत्योद्विग्नान् पाहि विभो साधुं देवान् त्वमकाले दैत्योद्विग्नान् पाहि विभो ध्यातृभ्योऽपि च भक्तेभ्यः सच्चिदानन्द प्रदो भव ध्यातृभ्योऽपि च भक्तेभ्यः सच्चिदानन्द प्रदो भव सच्चिदानन्द प्रदो भव नमो नमो गणपतये नमो नमो गणपतये नमो नमो गणपतये
On last week's episode of Datta Arpanam, you heard that as part of our daily disciplines, Omkara, that sound of Om, should be chanted 21 times daily. And hearing this morning's Lord Ganapati Bhajan, being reminded that Om is a seed letter or Bij mantra for Lord Ganapati, being reminded of the power that a seed contains, after all, it has the potential for the growth of a huge tree, we are reminded of how powerful Bijaksharas or seed letters like Om are, and we are reminded that Guru will always guide us to do what is best.
You were just listening to Sadgurudeva Paramapuja Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji here on Datta Arpanam. Thank you for tuning in to today's offering, which is coming to you on 103.1 FM through the grace of Puja Sri Swamiji, and thanks to the sponsorship by Samtran Insurance Brokers Limited, Debe Supermart Limited, Valini's Drug Mart Limited, and Kokie Supermart Limited.
Before that bhajan, you heard that the 7th sutra of Mata Jayalakshmi, See Me in All Forms of Life, contains lessons which were also reflected in previous sutras as well. For example, in the first sutra, when she told Puja Sri Swamiji to see me in all women, well, it is easy to extrapolate that if we see her in all forms of life, then we must also see her in all women.
And then, in the second sutra, when she said, be compassionate to the poor and socio-economically disadvantaged people, well, if one sees divinity and Sadguru in all forms of life, then it would be easy to feel and show compassion to those who may be financially or socio-economically challenged.
In Sutra number 4, Mata Jayalakshmi instructed that her sadhaka, Puja Appaji, should protect the pious and virtuous even at the cost of his own life. If we now apply the 7th sutra of See Me in All Forms of Life, and we consider that word me to be Mother Goddess, God, Guru, the Supreme Divinity, then it becomes very easy to appreciate the divinity within the pious. And just like even though Sadguru Deva is always the one protecting us, we all feel protective over his well-being, so too, if we see him in all pious persons, then we will feel a natural inclination to protect them.
And before we move on from this particular point, Ravita, if you don't mind, could you share with today's listeners the contents of that dream you shared with me recently?
Oh gosh, yes, that was actually quite a dream. By Appaji's grace, I dreamt that Puja Sri Swamiji himself was visiting Trinidad, and we were eagerly awaiting his stepping out of Guru Nilayam to perform Namaskaram to him. I saw the orange robes and the wooden padukas coming from where Sri Swamiji was supposed to be, and immediately I dropped to the ground to offer Namaskaram. As I stood up, I saw the face, and it was not the face I'm accustomed to, and in the dream I thought, oh, Swamiji came in a younger form. But then another Swamiji emerged, and again Namaskara was offered to him before I realized that he did not look like Puja Appaji. And this went on about 4 times before I eventually got a glimpse of a jovial, white-bearded, orange-robed Puja Appaji in the distance. I woke up from the dream and realized that one of the Swamis to whom Namaskaram was offered was a younger Ramana Maharishi. Actually, all the Swamis seem to be different manifestations of dearest Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji.
And listeners, the reason Ravita was asked to share this dream with you is it perfectly gels Amma's 4th and 7th sutras. When we see all pious persons as a reflection of Puja Appaji, then of course we will do all that we can to protect them. You heard Ravita specifically mention Ramana Maharishi, and this was particularly interesting that of all the Swamis to whom she offered Namaskaram in her dream, only Appaji's and Ramana Maharishi's faces stood out. It reminded me of a story told in Puja Appaji's biography. Radha Krishna, who later came to be known as Swami Manasa Datta, was very fond of Ramana Maharishi's writings. Through these, he was inspired to begin self-introspection. Then, one night in 1982, Puja Appaji entered the dream of Radha Krishna and said, Ramana Maharishi and I are one and the same.
You know, Rishi, recently Appaji, while on tour in India, specifically mentioned the bhakti of devotees at a particular place where no matter which Swami they came upon, they stopped and offered Namaskaram. Appaji spoke of those devotees with such love. And again his words and the actions of those devotees remind one of how closely linked Amma's 4th sutra of Protect the Pious is linked to her 7th sutra of See Me in all forms of life.
To Amma, to such a remarkable, knowledgeable, excellent teacher, to such a guru, to the Guru of Sadguru Deva Puja Appaji, worship is now offered. Please everyone, open your Bhajanmala app once again. This time enter Bhajan ID number 521 and join Puja Appaji in worshipping Mata Jaya Lakshmi.
लक्ष्मी तल्ली जननी महामागे जय लक्ष्मी तल्ली जननी महामागे निजमुगा नम्मीति आराधन చేసి నిజముగా నమ్మితి ఆరాధన చేసి
జయ లక్ష్మీ తల్లి జననీ మహామాయే నిజముగా నమ్మితి ఆరాధన చేసి నిజముగా నమ్మితి ఆరాధన చేసి
నరసింహ నరసింహ మనోన్మాణి నిత్య కళ్యాణి నీచంత చేరీతి ననుగావు తల్లి నీచంత చేరీతి ననుగావు తల్లి ననుగావు తల్లి
జయలక్ష్మి తల్లి జననీ మహామాయ నిజముగా నమ్మిది ఆరాధన చేసి నిజముగా నమ్మిది ఆరాధన చేసి
జయలక్ష్మీపురమున భక్తుల రక్షించు జయలక్ష్మీపురమున భక్తుల రక్షించు కల్పవృక్షమే కమనీయ దేవి కల్పవృక్షమే కమనీయ దేవి కమనీయ దేవి
జయలక్ష్మి తల్లి జననీ మహామాయ నిజముగా నమ్మిది ఆరాధన చేసి నిజముగా నమ్మిది ఆరాధన చేసి
నమ్మిన భక్తుల పీడాలు తొలగించు నమ్మిన భక్తుల పీడాలు తొలగించు దత్త మూర్తికి తల్లి జగజనని అమ్మ దత్త మూర్తికి తల్లి జగజనని అమ్మ జగజనని అమ్మ జగజనని అమ్మ జగజనని అమ్మ
జయలక్ష్మి తల్లి జననీ మహామాయ నిజముగా నమ్మిది ఆరాధన చేసి నిజముగా నమ్మిది ఆరాధన చేసి జయలక్ష్మి తల్లి జననీ మహామాయ నిజముగా నమ్మిది ఆరాధన చేసి నిజముగా నమ్మిది ఆరాధన చేసి జయలక్ష్మి తల్లి.
A bhajan loved by many, glorifying the one who has taken the form of many. That bhajan glorified Mata Raja Rajeshwari in her form as Jayalakshmi, mother and guru of Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji, the present day Avadhuta of Lord Dattatreya. You were just listening to Pujya Shri Swamiji here on Datta Arpanam. Thank you for tuning in to today's program, which is coming to you on 103.1 FM through the grace of Pujya Shri Swamiji, and thanks to the sponsorship by Samtran Insurance Brokers Limited, Debe Supermart Limited, Valini's Drug Mart Limited, and Kokie Supermart Limited.
Today, inspired by the 7th Sutra of Mata Jayalakshmi, a sutra in which she said, "See me in all forms of life," you've been hearing of how closely linked this sutra is to some of the other sutras shared thus far on this Dwadasha Sutra series. So far, you have heard of links to the 1st, 2nd, and 4th sutras. But there's also a link to Amma's 5th sutra, in which she instructed against discrimination, saying that all forms of life should be considered as equal. If in Amma's 7th sutra she is saying we should see her in all forms of life, then she is telling us that she, the Divine Mother, is the essence of each living being. And if that is the case, then it stands to reason that all forms of life are equal. And if all forms of life are equal, well then, there's absolutely no basis for discrimination.
Last week, discussion of the 6th sutra took place. That sutra was, "Do not miss your disciplines at any cost. They should not inconvenience others, they should benefit others." While contemplating that sutra, we discussed the open approach which Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji has to people of all different castes, different sexes, different races, and different religions. And when reminded that Appaji was taught to not have his disciplines inconvenience others, and that he was taught to perform his disciplines for the benefit of others, it becomes easy to see how expertly he must be able to implement this 7th sutra of see me in all forms of life. His mother was so very dear to him, listeners. So if he sees her in every life form, then how could he possibly entertain thoughts of inconveniencing those life forms? Of course, he will want to do what he can to benefit them.
And one tool which Appaji uses to benefit us all is the tool known as music, be it music for meditation and healing, or be it his bhajan compositions. Listeners, just as Lord Shiva saved the Devatas and creation by swallowing the hala poison generated from the churning of the ocean, so too Sadguru Deva Puja Sri Swamiji saves us by swallowing the poisons known as our bad traits, our troubles and our worries. As we offer gratitude to him for such loving care and concern, let us offer the fruits of singing this bhajan at his divine feet. You are invited to open the Bhajanmala app once again. This time enter Bhajan ID number 1185 and join in worship.
पतये हर हर महादेव शंभो महादेव शंभो नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव शंभो महादेव शंभो Vilola Bhava Bhayanashan Bhasma Vilola Bhava Bhayanashan Bhava Bhayanashan Bhava Bhayanashan Nama Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Nandivagan Nagabhushan Nandivagan Nagabhushan Sveta Ambar Shulapani Sveta Ambar Shulapani 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 Nama Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Ishapatisha Jagannivasa Ishapatisha Jagannivasa Sachidananda Atmavasi Sachidananda Atmavasi Sachidananda Atmavasi Ishapatisha Jagannivasa Ishapatisha Jagannivasa Sachidananda Atmavasi Sachidananda Atmavasi Nama Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho
That bhajan is sung in Ananda Bhaira Vivale Ragam. And to be honest, that word may be a long word, but one only has to get past the first part of the word, Ananda Bhaira Vivale, to get the gist of what joy that bhajan brings, what Ananda that bhajan brings. And this comes as no surprise. After all, the bhajan was composed and rendered by the one with Ananda in his name, Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji. You are tuned in to Datta Arpanam, a showcase of the life, music and teachings of Pujya Shri Swamiji, which comes to you every Sunday at 6 a.m. right here on 103.1 FM through the kind and loyal sponsorship by Samtran Insurance Brokers Limited, Debe Supermart Limited, Valini's Drug Mart Limited and Kokie Supermart Limited.
Today, the study of Mata Jayalakshmi's Dwadasha Sutras continues. And just to remind you of the sutras covered over the past few weeks, they were: see me in all women, be compassionate to the poor and socio-economically disadvantaged. In all situations, think and act according to the Shastras. Protect the pious and virtuous, even at the cost of your life. Consider all forms of life as equal, do not discriminate, and do not miss your daily disciplines at any cost. They should not inconvenience others, they should always benefit others. Today we are on the 7th Sutra, See Me in All Forms of Life.
Once, when Prahlad, as an adult, approached Lord Dattatreya, the Holy Trinity explained that he, Lord Dattatreya, had taken countless strange births. He had taken birth as animals, as birds, as insects, and as human. And from this we realize that by implementing Amma's 7th Sutra, by seeing divinity in all forms of life, we can eliminate the possibility of ill-treating the Holy Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, that Holy Trinity who is known for using disguises when he tests us.
If we see the Supreme Mother in every form of life, then think of how peaceful our lives will be. Think of the respect which will grow in our society, and think of the happiness we will feel. Sri Swamiji, as an Avadhuta, sees the supreme consciousness in each of us. He has said, "My one wish for you is that you can experience the happiness I experience." What did he mean by this? Did he mean that experiencing that supreme consciousness is in itself bliss? It is at the very least part of what he meant.
A couple of weeks ago, you heard of the 24 gurus of Lord Dattatreya. They varied from the 5 elements, to humans, to birds, to reptiles, to animals like the elephant. So, if that ultimate divinity himself is able to recognize that there is good in each living entity, then is it so far-fetched for us to see the Supreme Being in all living beings?
Lord Hanuman is so dearly loved in Trinidad and Tobago. He is a source of inspiration for Trinbagonians, even among some non-Hindus. And so it feels natural to turn to Sri Hanuman Charitra for inspiration on how we too can implement Amma's Sutra instructing us to see her divinity in all life forms.
When Ravana fell after his battle with Sri Rama, Lord Hanuman went to him and examined him closely. He also examined the already deceased demon Kumbhakarna.
Unable to understand why Lord Hanuman was wandering around the enemy, Lakshmana angrily inquired, "You worked so hard for Sri Rama. Why are you hanging around Ravana?"
Lord Hanuman circled Ravana's body as he examined it and declared, "He is a greater devotee than I am."
Lakshmana was puzzled.
Lord Hanuman said, "I chant Sri Rama's name without any experience. But Ravana experienced so much, yet he did not have a single moment when he forgot Sri Rama."
Lord Hanuman went to examine Ravana's and Kumbhakarna's bodies to examine if the divine name of Lord Rama had filled their pores.
Pooja Appaji, in discussing this excerpt from Ramayanam, explained that Lord Hanuman is giving us the message to see divinity in the wicked as well. He saw Sri Rama in everything and in everyone, good or bad. This is a reflection of his intense devotion. Ravana was filled with tamasic and rajasic qualities. He was the king of demons. Because he tried to deceive the divine, he had a brutal ending. Lord Hanuman's behavior shows us that noble people see good even in wicked people. That, says Pooja Appaji, is real devotion.
So, everyone, let us all try to see the good in others. Sometimes people may not be able to see the good in themselves. They have become so disillusioned that they feel that a life of anger, of violence, or of crime are the only avenues available to them. But if we can see some good in them, perhaps they will learn to see good not only in themselves, but also in others. And when this happens, by Appaji's grace, this nation, this world will become a more law-faring, peaceful, and contented place to live.
To the Lord who inspires such a way of living, let us now offer worship. Please open the Bhajan Mala app once again or visit www.bhajanmala.com. Enter Bhajan ID number 1112 and join in singing this beautiful bhajan. At his July 2018 visit to Trinidad, Parama Pujya Sri Swamiji said that in Kali Yuga, Lord Hanuman is the only one who can help us. As we remember the divine actions of this Vanara, let us listen to, sing and enjoy this bhajan composed and rendered by Pujya Appaji.
ವಡಮಾಲೆ ಹಾಕುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ, ಅಡೆತಡೆಗಳ ದೂರ ಮಾಡು ಪವನ ನಂದನ. 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 ವಿಳ್ಳೆದೆಲೆ ಹಾರ ಹಾಕುವೆ ಮಾರುತಿರಾಯ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಡು ಸೂರ್ಯ ತೇಜನೆ. ವಿಳ್ಳೆದೆಲೆ ಹಾರ ಹಾಕುವೆ ಮಾರುತಿರಾಯ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಡು ಸೂರ್ಯ ತೇಜನೆ. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಡು ಸೂರ್ಯ ತೇಜನೆ. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಡು ಸೂರ್ಯ ತೇಜನೆ. ವಡಮಾಲೆ 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 ಹಾಕುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ, ಅಡೆತಡೆಗಳ ದೂರ ಮಾಡು ಪವನ ನಂದನ. ಬೆಣ್ಣೆ ಸೇವೆ ಮಾಡುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ, ಬೆಣ್ಣೆಯಂತೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಕೊಡು ರಾಮದೂತರೇ. ಬೆಣ್ಣೆ ಸೇವೆ ಮಾಡುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ, ಬೆಣ್ಣೆಯಂತೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಕೊಡು ರಾಮದೂತರೇ. ಬೆಣ್ಣೆಯಂತೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಕೊಡು ರಾಮದೂತರೇ. ಬೆಣ್ಣೆಯಂತೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಕೊಡು ರಾಮದೂತರೇ. ರಾಮದೂತರೇ ರಾಮದೂತರೇ. ವಡಮಾಲೆ 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 ಹಾಕುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ, ಅಡೆತಡೆಗಳ ದೂರ ಮಾಡು ಪವನ ನಂದನ. ಪಾರಿಜಾತ ಪುಷ್ಪಾರ್ಚನೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಮಾಡುವೆ, ಪಾರುಗಾಣಿಸಯ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಷ್ಟಗಳೆಲ್ಲ. ಪಾರಿಜಾತ ಪುಷ್ಪಾರ್ಚನೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಮಾಡುವೆ, ಪಾರುಗಾಣಿಸಯ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಷ್ಟಗಳೆಲ್ಲ. ಪಾರುಗಾಣಿಸಯ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಷ್ಟಗಳೆಲ್ಲ. ಪಾರುಗಾಣಿಸಯ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಷ್ಟಗಳೆಲ್ಲ. ವಡಮಾಲೆ 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 ಹಾಕುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ, ಅಡೆತಡೆಗಳ ದೂರ ಮಾಡು ಪವನ ನಂದನ. ಕ್ಷೀರಾಭಿಷೇಕ ನಿನಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಸುವೆನು, ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳಿಸು ನಮ್ಮಯ ಆಸೆಗಳನ್ನು. ಕ್ಷೀರಾಭಿಷೇಕ ನಿನಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಸುವೆನು, ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳಿಸು ನಮ್ಮಯ ಆಸೆಗಳನ್ನು. ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳಿಸು ನಮ್ಮಯ ಆಸೆಗಳನ್ನು. ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳಿಸು ನಮ್ಮಯ ಆಸೆಗಳನ್ನು. ವಡೆಮಾಲೆ ವಡಮಾಲೆ ವಡೆಮಾಲೆ ಹಾಕುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಅಡೆತಡೆಗಳ ದೂರ ಮಾಡು ಪವನ ನಂದನ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಮಾರುತಿರಾಯ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಮಾರುತಿರಾಯ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಫಲ ಅರ್ಪಿಸುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಸಿದ್ಧಿ ಮಾಡ ಮಗೆ ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದನೇ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಫಲ ಅರ್ಪಿಸುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಸಿದ್ಧಿ ಮಾಡ ಮಗೆ ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದನೇ 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 ವಡೆಮಾಲೆ ಹಾಕುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಅಡೆತಡೆಗಳ ದೂರ ಮಾಡು ಪವನ ನಂದನ ವಡೆಮಾಲೆ ಹಾಕುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಅಡೆತಡೆಗಳ ದೂರ ಮಾಡು ಪವನ ನಂದನ ವಡೆಮಾಲೆ ವಡಮಾಲೆ ವಡೆಮಾಲೆ ಹಾಕುವೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಅಡೆತಡೆಗಳ ದೂರ ಮಾಡು ಪವನ ನಂದನ.
What a powerful note on which to begin to bring to a close today's contemplations here on Datta Arpanam.
Pranams and gratitude are offered at the divine feet of beloved Sadgurudeva, Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji and Pujya Shri 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 Datta Vijayananda Tirtha Swamiji, without whose teachings, compassion, love, guidance and music, this program would not exist.
Pranams to you, Puja Appaji and Sri Bala Swamiji. Kindly forgive any errors which may have been committed in preparing or in sharing today's episode of Datta Arpanam, and please guide us to avoid such errors in the future.
Special thanks are extended to the staff at 103.1 FM and to the sponsors of Datta Arpanam: Samtran Insurance Brokers Limited, Debe Supermart Limited, Valini's Drug Mart Limited, and Kokie Supermart Limited. And of course, dear listener, an extra special thank you is extended to you for sharing your Sunday morning with us.
Remember, if you would like to listen to today's offering again, the podcast will be uploaded to 103.1 FM's website by tomorrow evening. Simply visit www.103fm.tt, click on podcasts and scroll down to Datta Arpanam. Alternatively, you can also access the link via the Datta Arpanam Facebook page.
Once again, everyone, thank you for tuning in today. You are invited to please tune in to 103.1 FM again next Sunday at 6 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time for another episode of Datta Arpanam, a showcase of the life, music and teachings of His Holiness Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji.
Jai Guru Datta.
Shri Guru Datta. Harihi Om Tat Sat.
तन से मन से वचन से गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
तन से मन से वचन से गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
तन से मन से वचन से गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
तन से मन से वचन से गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
तन से मन से वचन से
तन से मन से वचन से
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
करें,
भक्ति पूर्वक ध्यान करें,
जो चाहे सो पा जावे,
जो चाहे सो पा जावे।
मन खटपट उलझन सारे,
मन खटपट उलझन सारे,
झटपट ओझल हो जाए,
झटपट ओझल हो जाए।
तन से मन से वचन से,
तन से मन से वचन से,
तन से मन से वचन से, गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले,
तन से मन से वचन से, गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले,
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले।
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले।
नमन करें तुझे हे गुणवान,
नमन करे तुझे हे गुणवान,
मिलकर गाएं तेरा गुणगान,
मिलकर गाए तेरा गुणगान।
सेवा करें नव भक्ति विधान,
सेवा करे नव भक्ति विधान,
शीघ्र हमें दे दो वरदान,
शीघ्र हमें दे दो वरदान।
तन से मन से वचन से,
तन से मन से वचन से,
तन से मन से वचन से, गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले,
तन से मन से वचन से, गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले,
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले।
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले।
मन लागे तुझ पर भगवान,
मन लागे तुझ पर भगवान,
विनती सुनो हे दया निधान,
विनती सुनो हे दया निधान।
कोई नहीं है तेरे समान,
कोई नहीं है तेरे समान,
तू ही मेरा जान जहान,
तू ही मेरा जान जहान।
तन से मन से वचन से,
तन से मन से वचन से,
तन से मन से वचन से, गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले,
तन से मन से वचन से, गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले,
तन से मन से वचन से,
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले।
निश्चल भक्ति बनी रहे,
निश्चल भक्ति बनी रहे,
पावन चरण को धरे रहे,
पावन चरण को धरे रहे।
अंत काल जब आ जाए,
अंत काल जब आ जाए,
दत्ता हमको पार करे,
दत्ता हमको पार करे।
तन से मन से वचन से,
तन से मन
तन से मन से वचन से गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
तन से मन से वचन से गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
शमदम षड्विध संपत्ति
शमदम षड्विध संपत्ति
दत्त भक्तों की है शक्ति
दत्त भक्तों की है शक्ति
दत्ता करके कुछ युक्ति
दत्ता करके कुछ युक्ति
दे सच्चिदानंद लीन स्थिति
दे सच्चिदानंद लीन स्थिति
तन से मन से वचन से
तन से मन से वचन से
तन से मन से वचन से गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
तन से मन से वचन से गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले
गुरुपद सरसिज आश्रय ले श्री गुरुदत्त
जय गुरुदत्त 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 श्री गुरुदत्त
श्री गणेशाय नमः श्री सरस्वती नमः श्रीपादवल्लभ नरसिंह सरस्वती श्री गुरुदत्तात्रेयाय नमः दत्तात्रेयं महात्मानं वरदं भक्तवत्सलं प्रपन्नार्तिहरं वन्दे स्मर्तृगामी सनोवतु दीनबन्धुं कृपासिन्धुं सर्वकारणकारणं सर्वरक्षाकरं वन्दे स्मर्तृगामी सनोवतु शरणागतदीनार्थ परित्राणपरायणं नारायणं विभुं वन्दे स्मर्तृगामी सनोवतु सर्वानर्थहरं देवं सर्वमङ्गलमङ्गलं सर्वक्लेशहरं वन्दे स्मर्तृगामी सनोवतु ब्रह्मण्यं धर्मतत्त्वज्ञं भक्तकीर्तिविवर्धनं भक्ताभीष्टप्रदं वन्दे स्मर्तृगामी सनोवतु शोषणं पापपङ्कस्य दीपनं ज्ञानतेजसः तापप्रशमनं वन्दे स्मर्तृगामी सनोवतु सर्वरोगप्रशमनं सर्वपीडानिवारणं विपदुद्धरणं वन्दे स्मर्तृगामी सनोवतु जन्म संसारबन्धघ्नं स्वरूपानन्ददायकं निःश्रेयसपदं वन्दे स्मर्तृगामी सनोवतु जयलाभयशक्काम धातुर्दत्तस्य यस्तवं भोगमोक्षप्रदस्येमं प्रपठेत् सक्री भवेत् श्रीगणेशाय नमः श्रीसरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीपादवल्लभ नरसिंह सरस्वती श्रीगुरुदत्तात्रेयाय नमः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत्